Have you ever judged someone just by their appearance? This story will make you rethink the way you see the people around you. Because appearances don't always tell the real story. Mrs. Olivia stepped into the luxurious car dealership, where bright lights reflected off the expensive vehicles, creating a lavish atmosphere most people could only dream of. She wasn't tall, and she wore a simple, neutral-colored outfit that barely stood out in the crowd. But if you looked closely, you would see a quiet confidence in her, not because of what she wore, but because of the life experience and success she had accumulated over the years. She had no need to flaunt or boast. Her modest appearance didn't even begin to reflect what she truly possessed. Olivia had battled her way through countless ups and downs, from the struggles of starting a business from scratch to eventually becoming a wealthy, accomplished entrepreneur. And today, she had come to this dealership for a simple reason, to find a car she wanted. Yet as she walked in, she didn't receive the attention she deserved. A young employee behind the counter glanced at her briefly, her eyes making a quick judgment. Dressed so plainly, the girl clearly didn't think Olivia was a potential customer. Olivia said nothing. She simply smiled faintly, though the sting of being underestimated crept into her mind. She wondered, how often have people misjudged me like this? Still, she hadn't come here to prove anything to anyone. But the feeling of being overlooked lingered. The saleswoman, a young woman named Emily, barely acknowledged Olivia before quickly returning to her work. She didn't offer a seat, nor did she enthusiastically introduce any models. Even when Olivia slowly approached a sleek silver sports car, Emily remarked indifferently, "This one's not the best choice if you're looking for fuel efficiency." Olivia stood still, feeling the sting of Emily's disinterest. Though her simple appearance may have led Emily to believe she couldn't afford such a luxury car, the dismissive attitude still hurt. The memory of struggling through the early, harder years of her life returned, when others, too, judged her based on appearances. But Olivia had long since learned that a person's true worth is never determined by what others happen to see on the surface. She glanced around the elegant showroom, where rows of expensive sports cars sat gleaming under the lights. Other customers' curious gazes passed right over her without a second thought. A deep sense of loneliness welled up inside her, but she quickly shook it off. Olivia was not someone who let others' shallow judgments define her. Still, in this moment, she could not deny the quiet hurt simmering inside her. When she decided to leave, Olivia didn't realize this would become a test, not just for Emily, but for herself as well. Emily's disrespectful treatment was a clear sign that society still often valued appearances over true character. And maybe today, Olivia would show them that such snap judgments come at a cost. She stood for a moment, quietly reflecting on what had just happened. The feeling of being dismissed, of being looked down upon, gnawed at her. But instead of reacting in anger or confrontation, Olivia took a deep breath and cast one last glance around the store. She could have walked away right then, leaving behind the disrespect and returning to her life, a life where she was used to others misjudging her. But something shifted inside her. No, she thought to herself, I won't let myself be defined by a hasty glance. I've lived long enough to know no one has the right to determine my worth based on appearances. Turning back, Olivia walked slowly into the dealership once more. She knew she couldn't change Emily's mindset in an instant. But she wanted to challenge herself and challenge the way society treated people like her. What Olivia carried now was not anger or disappointment. It was a fierce determination. A determination not to let anyone, not a sales clerk, not anyone, make her feel small or worthless. And more importantly, she wanted to find a reason to stay, not just for the car, but for herself. Drawing a deep breath, she re-entered the showroom with confident posture, bright eyes, and a quiet yet undeniable resolve. Today, she would not allow herself to be judged by appearances. When Olivia stepped back into the dealership, Emily was still behind the counter, her indifferent gaze skimming over Olivia without any change in attitude. The young woman resumed her tasks, never offering a greeting, never inviting Olivia to sit. Olivia could feel the clear lack of respect in every small action Emily took. Though Olivia kept her composure, inside, the hurt slowly mounted. The young clerk had no idea that standing before her was not just an ordinary middle-aged woman, but a customer perfectly capable of buying any car in that showroom. Emily continued to brush past Olivia as if she were nothing more than an insignificant passerby. Every time Olivia approached another vehicle, Emily barely glanced up from her phone, occasionally shooting her a half-hearted look. With every slight, Olivia felt the sting of being disregarded grow sharper. But she didn't let it show. Instead, she smiled softly and turned her attention back to the cars she was genuinely interested in. Olivia had faced countless challenges in her life, sleepless nights, tough negotiations, but rarely had being underestimated made her feel so small. In Emily's eyes, she was merely an ordinary woman, out of place in this world of luxury. Yet Olivia realized that it was moments like these that truly mattered, moments when she could prove that others' shallow judgments had no power over her worth. And in those quiet seconds, she needed no words, no grand gestures, only a calm, steady gaze fixed on Emily, filled with an unshakable self-assurance. She didn't need to prove anything to anyone. Just as the weight of disappointment began to rise within her, a gentle voice called out behind her. "Excuse me, ma'am, may I help you?" Olivia turned to see a young man, neatly dressed, with a warm, genuine smile. He wasn't a sales associate she had noticed earlier, and the difference between him and Emily was immediately clear. There was no judgment in his eyes, no apathy. He looked at Olivia as though she were the most important customer in the building. "Good afternoon, ma'am. My name's Ben," he said, his eyes bright with sincerity. "I'd be happy to help you find exactly what you're looking for." And in that moment, Olivia couldn't help but feel a small spark of hope. There was a shift in the air, a sense of acceptance that she had not received from Emily. The initial hurt she had felt was now somewhat soothed. Mrs. Olivia smiled, though she still felt a hint of unfamiliarity. "I'm just browsing," she replied, but she couldn't help noticing how attentively Ben listened to her, asking detailed questions about what she was looking for and what she liked about each model. Ben led her to cars she hadn't yet inspected closely, explaining each feature in detail, even offering advice on the options that best suited her needs. He wasn't just a salesman. He was someone who genuinely cared about what Mrs. Olivia would choose and why. Ben's professionalism and respectful attitude made her feel truly valued as a customer. The entire atmosphere of the dealership seemed to shift from cold detachment to a warm connection. Mrs. Olivia realized that, though outward appearances might suggest a simple life, everyone's inner worth deserves to be respected. In that moment, she recognized something important. Not everyone judges others by their appearance. Sometimes, you have to look deeper to truly see someone's worth. Ben had done just that. He hadn't focused on her simple clothing, but instead on her needs and desires. As Ben continued guiding Mrs. Olivia through the different models, the connection between them seemed to grow stronger. He not only shared information about each car's features, but also included interesting stories about each model, creating a friendly and approachable atmosphere. Each of Ben's stories was met with Mrs. Olivia's warm attention. She couldn't help but notice the stark contrast between Ben and Emily. Both were salespeople, but Ben wasn't just selling a product, he was building an authentic relationship with her. Mrs. Olivia felt as if she were transported back to her younger days, when respect and appreciation were present in every conversation. It was a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time, and it was Ben who had brought it back. When Mrs. Olivia finally decided on the car she wanted, Ben smiled gently. "I'm really glad you chose this one," he said, his eyes filled with genuine satisfaction. "This car suits you perfectly." Mrs. Olivia felt a shift within herself, as if she had rediscovered her trust in the true values of life, values she had once felt were lost amidst the rush of the modern world. But something unexpected happened as Mrs. Olivia stood up to leave. Ben spoke up again. "Actually, I know who you are," he said, his voice calm yet certain. Mrs. Olivia turned back, slightly surprised. "Who?" Ben smiled softly, the smile of someone who had just uncovered something important. "I've heard about you," he said. "You're the owner of one of the major companies in the industry, right? And I know you're deeply committed to community development projects." Mrs. Olivia froze. The feeling that she was just another ordinary customer quickly dissolved. It turned out Ben wasn't just an ordinary salesman. He knew exactly who she was, but instead of judging her by her modest appearance, he recognized the deep values she contributed to society and business. The respect he had shown her became even more evident. This unexpected revelation made Mrs. Olivia feel honored, but it also taught her an important lesson: a person's true worth isn't always immediately visible. And those who truly respect you will never judge you by appearances. When Mrs. Olivia and Ben completed all the paperwork, she was filled with a quiet happiness. But there was one thing left, something she felt compelled to do before leaving the dealership. Mrs. Olivia turned to look at Emily, who was still standing absent-mindedly behind the counter, her eyes glued to her phone. A strong feeling stirred inside her, and she decided not to let this opportunity slip by. She walked towards the counter, tension and determination rising within her. Even though she had found the car she wanted, she couldn't let Emily's disrespect simply pass without a word. "Emily, isn't it?" Mrs. Olivia said, her voice gentle but firm. Emily startled, looking up at her awkwardly, but showed little sign of remorse. Yes. Can I help you with something?" the young woman asked, her tone tinged with impatience. Mrs. Olivia didn't rush to reply. She simply looked straight into Emily's eyes, her gaze calm yet decisive. "I noticed how you treated me earlier. How you looked at me as if I didn't belong here, and how you showed no interest when I was trying to learn about the cars." Emily began to fidget uncomfortably, but Mrs. Olivia didn't allow the girl's awkwardness to deter her. "Do you realize that not everyone can easily shake off judgments like that?" she continued, her voice still gentle but resolute. "Everyone carries their own value, and sometimes the things you think are unimportant may actually be life-changing for someone. Today, you might have dismissed me, but you didn't know who I was or what I was capable of. Never judge anyone by their appearance." Emily stood silent, a flicker of shame crossing her face, unable to immediately respond. Mrs. Olivia sensed the shift in Emily, not from anger or scolding, but from realization. Perhaps Emily wouldn't fully grasp it right away, but Mrs. Olivia knew she had done the right thing. Pausing for a moment, Mrs. Olivia turned back to Ben, who stood nearby, and gave him a warm smile. "Thank you," she said to him, her voice rich with warmth. "Today, you made me feel truly valued." Ben smiled in return, his eyes filled with respect and gratitude. "That's exactly what I hoped for, ma'am," he replied, watching as Mrs. Olivia made her way out of the dealership with a look of admiration. In that moment, Mrs. Olivia knew that not only she but also Emily would carry an important lesson forward. No one has the right to dismiss someone else based on appearances, and respect is the most essential foundation in any relationship. As Mrs. Olivia stepped outside, the sunlight bathed her skin, filling her with a profound sense of peace. It was a light yet powerful feeling. Although she had found the car she wanted, what mattered even more was that she had done what she felt she needed to do, not just for herself, but for others too. Throughout the drive home, Mrs. Olivia couldn't help but reflect on the confrontation with Emily. That young woman, whose initial indifference had hurt her, had unknowingly given her the chance to stand up for dignity and respect, and Mrs. Olivia had seized it. Strong and full of wisdom, she not only stood up for her own self-worth, but also planted a valuable lesson in Emily's mind about respect, and the importance of never judging others based on appearances. She couldn't help but think of Ben as well. That young man, with his genuine dedication, had shown her the profound difference between someone who truly valued others and someone who only cared about surface appearances. Ben wasn't just a salesperson. He was someone who understood that every customer had their own story and that every person deserved to be treated with respect, regardless of how they looked or how old they were. That was the true value Mrs. Olivia hoped to spread. As she left the dealership, Olivia felt a surge of pride and peace filling her heart. But it wasn't just her who had received a lesson that day. Emily, caught in a moment of awkwardness and shame, would surely remember this encounter for a long time. And perhaps, in the future, when facing other customers, she would never again judge someone based on their simple appearance or their age. She would remember that respect is not something we grant based on what we see on the surface. Mrs. Olivia understood that confrontations like these were never easy. But she also knew that within every challenge lies an opportunity to change someone else or even to change yourself. And this time, she had made a difference, not just for herself, but for those around her as well. On this journey, she had learned an important truth: never judge a person's worth by their appearance. True respect comes from seeing and understanding a person on a deeper level. Mrs. Olivia proved that today, not just with her words, but through her actions. The next day, Olivia sat in her study, gazing out the window. The soft morning light filtered through the curtains, but her mind was restless. She kept thinking about what had happened at the car dealership the day before, and a sense of pride washed over her for standing up for herself and for others like her. Yet, even amidst the satisfaction and relief, another thought lingered: that she could do more. It wasn't enough to simply confront one disrespectful salesperson. She felt a calling to inspire others who, like her, were judged unfairly based on appearances. Olivia realized that if more people could learn to see each other's true value, the world would become a kinder and fairer place. Suddenly, an idea struck her, a plan to spread a message of respect and equality. She decided to launch a community project, a space where those who had been judged or overlooked, who may have been treated unfairly in work or life, could find support in reclaiming their self-worth. This project would not only uplift those who rarely had a chance to shine, but would also encourage society to change the way it looked at people, moving beyond shallow judgments. Mrs. Olivia didn't want to remain a bystander, merely witnessing acts of disrespect or discrimination. She wanted to be part of the change, to build a community where every person felt seen and respected, no matter who they were or where they were in life. Over the following week, she met with partners, charities, and professionals to lay out the framework for the project. Things moved quickly, and she found herself fueled by a purpose bigger than anything she had felt in years. The inspiration from her encounter with Emily and Ben had led her down a new path, one not just of personal success, but of community empowerment. And as she looked at the project she was about to bring to life, she knew she was turning yesterday's lessons into action, with a ripple effect that could reach far beyond herself. Throughout it all, she made sure to send a heartfelt thank you to Ben, the young man who had set a shining example of respect and sincerity. His actions had helped her realize that real change often begins with the smallest gestures, with truly respecting someone, not because of what they have, but because of who they are. And from those small beginnings, an entire community could awaken. Olivia's awakening didn't end with shifting how she viewed others. It expanded into realizing that she herself could be the spark that ignited broader societal change. And so, from a seemingly ordinary encounter at a car dealership, she opened a brand new chapter in her life. Months passed since Olivia launched her community initiative. It wasn't easy. Challenges arose at every turn, but her determination and perseverance carried her through. Her project not only attracted the attention of those who had been marginalized, but also drew support from social organizations, community leaders, and influencers. Olivia realized that this journey wasn't just about building a project to help others, it was also a journey of self-transformation. Her confidence grew, not because of accolades, but because she had discovered her power to make a real difference in people's lives. She became a role model for many women and adults who had once felt invisible or undervalued in society or in the workplace. Stories about her, from being judged at a car dealership to standing up for her dignity, were shared widely. Her project didn't just change the lives of participants, it inspired entire communities. One afternoon, while she was working on plans to expand the project, Ben called. He shared the incredible news that their initiative had won an award from a major organization dedicated to promoting respect and inclusion. At first, Olivia had never imagined that her efforts would be recognized this way. But now she knew everything had fallen into place just as it was meant to. Olivia reflected on how life often brings unexpected lessons. Had it not been for her encounter with Emily and Ben that day at the dealership, she might never have realized the vast impact she could have. Now, not only was her own life transformed, but so were the lives of countless others who had been touched by her work. Participants in the project began to change. They no longer saw themselves as forgotten faces in society. They discovered hidden talents, reclaimed their self-confidence, and slowly, proudly stood up to advocate for their own rights. Watching this transformation, seeing the light return to their eyes, became the most rewarding success Olivia had ever known. What started as a simple, seemingly unremarkable experience had now become an essential part of her life's mission. And even though challenges still lay ahead, Mrs. Olivia knew that the most important step was the one she had already taken, daring to step out of her comfort zone and pursue a purpose greater than herself. Through it all, she not only helped others, but also rediscovered herself, a woman of resilience, deep self-love, and unrelenting commitment to her community. Her life no longer revolved around personal achievements alone. It had blossomed into something far richer, something that truly mattered. It's not about personal success, it's about something far greater, the ability to change and improve the lives of others. Olivia sat at the awards ceremony, the shimmering lights casting a warm glow over the elegant evening. Applause echoed around her, but in her mind, everything seemed to blur into the background. It wasn't because she didn't appreciate the honor, it was because her thoughts were fixed on a deeper truth. This award wasn't just for her. It was for everyone she had helped, for those who had found themselves again through her project. As she stood to accept the award, an unfamiliar feeling washed over her. It wasn't stage fright. She had spoken in front of crowds before, but tonight, she didn't feel like the spotlight was hers alone. She felt deeply connected to all those who had walked this journey with her, those who had believed in her mission. And then, something unexpected happened. Emily, the young saleswoman from the car dealership a few days ago, entered the hall. Dressed formally, she approached Olivia with a mix of shyness and deep respect. For a brief moment, the entire room fell silent, as everyone turned to witness the arrival of a woman Olivia had once faced with disdain. Emily stepped forward, the air heavy with tension. She hesitated, then said, "Mrs. Olivia, I want to apologize. That day at the dealership changed the way I see people. You taught me never to judge someone by their appearance. And today, I'm not just here to say I'm sorry. I'm here to thank you for what you did for me and for so many others." The room remained still, and then the applause broke out again, louder this time. Olivia stood frozen, her heart full. It was hard to put into words. It felt as if something profound had shifted in that instant. This wasn't just an apology. It was a recognition, a testament from someone she had once seen as a challenge. And more than that, it was proof that she had truly made a difference. Emily continued, her voice trembling slightly. "I've learned a powerful lesson about respect and about seeing the true worth of every person, not through appearances, but through their heart and actions. I want you to know that I will never forget what you've taught me." Olivia smiled, needing no words. Her story, built from simple, humble acts, had reached far beyond herself, touching the hearts of many. And now even Emily, who had once judged her harshly, had become part of this journey. Returning to her seat, Olivia felt something had shifted inside her. The change wasn't just in her own life, it was spreading outward, touching the lives of others. And at that moment, when two people from two different worlds met at a crossroads of respect and understanding, it became clear, sometimes the greatest changes begin with the smallest, most unexpected encounters. She knew her journey wasn't over. But now she carried a profound certainty. No matter how the world changed, we each have the power to create positive change, starting within ourselves. Through each encounter, each moment we choose to stand tall and be an example for others. As time went on, Olivia's community project didn't just thrive, it became a social phenomenon. Yet, her greatest sense of fulfillment didn't come from the awards or public recognition. It came from seeing real change in people's lives. Her project helped thousands, especially middle-aged and older individuals, rediscover their confidence, step out of their comfort zones, and dare to chase long-forgotten dreams. Each day, she received letters of thanks from participants who had found a renewed sense of purpose. They didn't just thank her for the financial opportunities, they thanked her for giving them the chance to believe in themselves again, to stand proud, and to reclaim dreams that had been left behind during the struggles of everyday life. Sitting in her office, surrounded by photos and certificates collected along her journey, Olivia looked around. Each photo told a story, a smile, a transformation, a small but powerful change in someone's life. And to her, these were monumental successes, proof of the power of respect and perseverance. Despite all she had achieved, Olivia never stopped learning and growing her project. The joy she felt from helping others wasn't something that could be measured in money. It was in the smiles, the tears of recognition, the moments when people realized their true worth. Those were the moments Olivia treasured most. One morning at a leadership and community conference, Olivia unexpectedly crossed paths with Emily again, now a confident and passionate spokesperson for the project at major events. Emily's story had become a major source of inspiration, proof that change starts from within and thrives on mutual respect. Radiant with newfound confidence, Emily shared with the audience, "I still can't believe that Mrs. Olivia was the one who helped me see that everyone has their own unique value, no matter where they come from. And now, I'm proud to say that I am paying it forward, helping others, just like she once helped me." Olivia simply smiled. No words were necessary. Her story had transcended speeches and strategies. It had become a quiet, powerful force within the community. The feeling Olivia carried wasn't one of pride in her accomplishments, but a deep understanding. Sometimes, it only takes a little courage to step forward and change your whole world. As the project continued to expand, Olivia knew her journey would never truly end. She would always be a guide, not just for those seeking new opportunities, but for anyone searching for themselves, their self-worth, and a renewed sense of respect. No matter how much the outside world changed, Olivia believed deeply that respect and perseverance could transform anything. She was more than someone who helped others. She was someone who helped create a world where people, no matter their age or stage of life, could find the courage to begin again and carve out their own path. One autumn afternoon, Olivia sat quietly in her small home, gazing out at the garden through the window. The sun was setting, bathing everything in a soft golden light, and a deep, quiet peace settled over her. Even though her project had far exceeded anything she had ever dreamed, and she had become a role model for many, she didn't feel self-satisfied. In truth, it wasn't the public success or recognition that had brought her the greatest happiness. It was the changes within herself, the countless moments of quietly helping others realize their worth. She thought back to that first day at the car dealership, when Emily's disdain had forced her to reflect on how society judges and categorizes people. Now her view of the world, and of the people in it, had transformed. She realized that true value could never be judged by appearances and that everyone, in their own way, could become part of something greater, part of the actions and changes that make the world better. Her project was no longer just a job or a personal mission. It had become a movement, a system that connected people who shared a common goal, to rediscover their self-worth and to help others do the same. Olivia inspired not only through her words, but through her actions. Men and women, many of them middle-aged and once feeling left behind, now stood proud of what they had achieved. One evening, during a community meeting at a large center, a young woman named Alex, one of the early participants in Olivia's project, stood up to share her story. Alex said, "I used to feel worthless, like I had no future. But Olivia's project helped me realize that even if I started late, I could still build a new life and a new future for myself." Alex looked toward Olivia, her eyes full of gratitude and respect. Olivia could hardly contain her emotions in that moment. This young woman had not only learned from her project, but was now passing those values on to the next generation, to those who needed to be heard, to those who needed a chance. It was a critical step in Olivia's long journey, not just changing herself, but helping others to do the same. As Olivia left the event, her heart full, she knew that the respect she had earned wasn't because she had founded a project, it was because she had lived the values she taught. The transformation wasn't just happening in the lives of those she helped, it was happening within her, too. Every day, she reminded herself that life wasn't about how others saw her, it was about what she could do for others, about what she could inspire and change in the world. The respect she received, from those who had once looked down on her to those who found hope through her project, showed her that the impact she made would endure. Even during challenging moments, when exhaustion or discouragement crept in, Olivia knew her work could never simply stop. Her influence would continue to spread, not just through her initiatives, but through the lives she had helped transform. In the end, she understood, you don't always need to see immediate results. The respect and impact you leave behind will live on in the community, in the acts of kindness you planted. Her journey, whether it officially ended or not, would continue to inspire others, helping them find themselves and rise higher. On the final day of a leadership course she organized, everything seemed just right. The room buzzed with excitement as people eagerly listened to her final words, eyes filled with gratitude. Olivia stood in front of the hall, smiling gently, looking at each face that had gathered there. In the front row sat Alex, once a shy, uncertain participant, now a leader within the project, her eyes shining with admiration. Olivia began, "Each of us carries our own story, and those stories never begin with judging each other by appearances. We can start over at any time, it's never too late to change. What matters is learning to respect ourselves and those around us. Never judge a person by what you see on the outside, because sometimes the greatest value lies within." She paused, took a sip of water, then continued, "My story isn't just about what I've done, it's about how we can help each other. We don't just change our own lives, we help change the lives of others, those whose society may have overlooked. That is the true meaning of success." With these words, Olivia didn't just complete her mission, she left behind a profound message. Every person deserves respect and the opportunity to change their life. As the seminar ended, Olivia received an unexpected message from someone she hadn't thought about in a while, Emily, the former car dealership employee. The message was short but deeply emotional. "Ms. Olivia, I'll never forget what you taught me. I realized that beyond just selling cars, I could do so much more for others. Thank you for everything." Olivia couldn't hold back her tears. Part of her felt pure joy knowing that Emily had changed, had recognized her true worth. Another part of her felt immense pride in what she had been able to pass on. It was a quiet but precious recognition. As she exited the hall, a stranger stood by the door, watching her intently. He approached, shook her hand warmly, and said, "Ms. Olivia, I'm the CEO of an international nonprofit organization. We're looking for someone who can help us transform millions of lives. I believe you are exactly the person we've been searching for." Olivia was stunned. Her life had evolved from a chance encounter at a luxury car dealership to now holding the potential to change not just a small community, but millions across the globe. In the end, she realized life is a series of unexpected opportunities, and sometimes respect and perseverance can lead us to heights we never even imagined. The greatest lesson Olivia had learned was this: there are no limits for those who believe in change and are willing to help others.